Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with the next update for my Pan Those Eyeshadows. I am excited to share with you how I did with my 5 eyeshadows in the past month. But before we jump into that, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. But let's just jump into the first eyeshadow. So the first two shadows that I have now been in for 2 months, and the first eyeshadow I'm going to talk about comes from one of my focus palettes, which is currently the Naked 3, and I was working on the shade Burnout. So as of last update, I had used this 6 times. You can see where I was then, and since then I have used it an additional 9 times, and I was able to hit pan on that shadow. So it took me 15 uses in total, and I think the reason why it didn't take that long was because I used a very kind of precise small brush, and as you can see the dip is very kind of small as well, or very focused rather, and I used this mainly on my lower lash line, and that's why I think I hit pan rather quickly, because I know other people have taken it way longer to hit pan on this eyeshadow, but I did really like use a small brush and pack it on my kind of inner lower lash line most of the time. I think I did use it all over my lid maybe once or twice, but honestly I mainly used it on my lower lash line. So that is a shade that is rolling out. Next up we have another shade that's been in here for 2 months now, and that is a single that I have to put from one of my Colourpop palettes, and that is the shade Bel Air. So that is where I was with this eyeshadow at the last update, and I had then already used it 17 times. This one also comes from the Lovelies palette, if you're wondering, but it's just this beautiful kind of, yeah, just neutral camel toned transition shade. And since last update I have used this an additional 8 times, and as you can see there that I do have a tiny pan in this eyeshadow. So in total it took me 25 uses to hit that pan. So that means that I have 2 shadows rolling out. Next up, the 3 that I have remaining are all shades that I rolled in at the last update. So I'm just going to go talk through them now. The next eyeshadow comes from my Anastasia Jackie Aina palette, and it is in the shade Pinker, and that is where I was when I introduced this eyeshadow. So this really wasn't very used, but this is actually what I'm wearing on my eyes today as the kind of outer matte. So kind of like the burgundy, I guess, matte on my outer corner. And this is where I am with this eyeshadow today. I have used this 6 times now, but I don't really have much of a dip going at all. I think maybe you can pick it up slightly there. But for example, as today I have used a lot of this eyeshadow, and it's very pigmented and you don't need very much of it, and it's also quite a hard pressed shadow, so I'm expecting this to take quite a long time. So like I said, 6 uses, and this is staying in the project. I just realized I forgot to swatch everything out, so I'm going to do that now. So there you have those 2 shades that I have rolled out. We have Burnout as well as Bel Air, so you can see those 2 there, and then here we have Pinker, which is staying in. The last 2 shades are both Colourpop shades again. The next one is one that is also departed from the Yes Please palette, and this is in the shade Spoiled. You can see that up here. So this is like a terracotta kind of red shade, and like I said, this rolled in at the last update, and I have since then used this 10 times, and this is where I am today. So again, no pan, but there is a little bit of a dip starting to form. Again, I think this is definitely going to take quite a while, but at least I'm starting to see a little bit of wear on it. And it is again a super pigmented shade, so you don't need very much of it, but I have used this more than, for example, Pinker, so I'm hoping that it won't take too much longer to hit pan, and I'm gonna try to hit pan on next month, but I doubt that would happen. But if I focus in on it, maybe I will hit pan, but I think it's probably gonna take at least 15 more uses. And there you have Spoiled compared to Pinker. And the annoying part with these 2 are that I used them in the same manner. They basically both work as outer corner shades for me. So that's why I can't really use them together, but kind of alternate one of them. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm gonna try, I think, to focus on Spoiled first, and then use Pinker when I feel like it, and hopefully I will have both of these out at least in maybe 2 months time. The last shade that I have comes from my Dream Street palette by Colourpop, and this is one that I actually haven't departed, so I still have the palette, but I have the shade kind of as a single now, and that is the shade Stardust, and this is where I was when I rolled it in, and since then I have used this 4 times, and this is where I am today. So again, no pan, but there is a little bit of usage on this eyeshadow. I have worked on other lid shades or focused on them more, but I think this is one that I can start focusing on very soon, and hopefully have pan on by next month. And there you have the final eyeshadow that it's staying in. So those were the eyeshadows that I was working on for last update, and like I said, we have 2 shades rolling out and 3 staying in. One of the shades that are rolling out is my focus shades for my 2 focus palettes, so I'm going to start by rolling a shade from there, and then I'm going to go randomize one for my spreadsheets afterwards. So I have my 2 focus palettes right here, and since I now have quite a few pans in both of these, this is what my Naked first palette looked like. I did take out this one. If you watch my shop my stash, you know why. But that is what this one looks like. And then for my Naked 3, again we have a few pans, but we don't have as many. So what I'm actually going to start doing now, because I think I might hit a lot of pans when I randomize between 24, I'm going to count how many shades I have left. I'm going to start with the numbers in here and then move on to here, and then we're going to randomize between those. So in here we have 4 shades without pan, so 1 to 4 is going to come from here, and 5 to 11 comes from my Naked 3. So let's go ahead and randomize between 1 and 11. So the number I'm getting is number 3, which comes from my Naked 1 palette. So number 3 is 1, 2, 3. It's this one here, which I believe is Hustle. It is Hustle, so that is the shade I'm gonna roll in. So there we have Hustle, and it's another kind of out of the corner shade for me, so again it's gonna be one that I have to divide my attention between, but at least it's more kind of cool tone and neutral this time. So that is the first 4 shades. So let me pull out my spreadsheet and we're gonna randomize my last number. So I currently have 776 eyeshadows in my collection. So I have reset my calculator, or not my randomizer, and I'm gonna go ahead and pick one number, which will be 377. So 377 is a shade from my Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde palette, and it's funny because I used to roll this into my Roulette Pan collab because I wanted to work on it, and now I'm rolling a shade from it into here. So that's going to be great, and the shade that I rolled in is Off Balance, which I think what that is, I think that's like the mauve toned eyeshadow in that palette. So I'm gonna go and get that, and I will show you the final shade. So I'm back and I have my palette right here, and the shade that I rolled in is Off Balance, which is, like I said, the shade that I thought it was. I'm gonna cover it down here because I am working, like I said, on another different shade, but it is this mauve toned in the corner right there. So there you have the final shade. It's more of a maybe spring shade than autumn shade, but I think it's gonna go nice with, for example, pinker, so that's gonna be quite good. And I mean, these two go really well together, these two go well together. This will pair with a lot of neutral shades. So I think that will work, and that is going to be my color story for the month of October. So I don't have too many looks to show this month because I've been honestly really bad with taking pictures, but I'm going to go through the ones that I do have. The first one is this one right here, which is a look where I use the shade Spoiled from Colourpop, which is this one right here. I used this basically packing all of my lid, and then I blended it out, I believe, with the shade Bel Air, which is this one here. And then on my lid I used the shade Sponsored from the Jackie Aina palette, which is like a brown green kind of pigment, similar to like a brown blue, but it's more greenish. And that is this first look. I did this quite a few times because it meant that I could get a lot of use out of Spoiled, because I literally packed it all on my lid and then I buffed it out. And yeah, I did love this look, and I think I did it maybe like 3 times. Here we have another quick look where I used Spoiled and Bel Air. In this look I'm using Spoiled on the outer corner and then Bel Air in the crease. On my lid, can't remember what shade that is, but it looks like it's like a goldy shade. It might have been Boronu from the Magic Mini palette because I was panning that, so I think it might be that I have on my lid, but this is just an everyday look where I used Spoiled. So next up we have this look right here, which is a look where I used Pinker, which is the top shade. I think that's the only shade. Actually no, I used the Burnout on my lower lash line, so that's how I used it on my lower lash line. So it's a look where I'm using Pinker, similar to what I'm doing today, as like an outer corner and blend it slightly into the crease. And on my lids I have a silver shade, which I believe is the shade Cyborg from the Sultry palette. That's what I have all over my lid. And in my crease I believe I have a shade from my Panda palette. It's my Franken shade in there. And yeah, I think that's basically the look. On my inner corner I have just any inner corner shade. I think it might be the same that I'm wearing today, which is the shade I can't remember what it's called, but it's from the Golden Coconuts palette, and it is like a really like light white shade, and I think that's what I'm wearing on my inner corner here as well. So here we have a bit of a different look. I think this is probably the most exciting look that I have from the past month. I'm in the outer corner here I'm wearing the shade Spoiled again, and then on my lid I'm wearing a silver shade, which I think is the shade Jeremiah from the Magic Mini palette again. And in my crease, to blend everything out, I'm wearing the shade Sphere from my Anastasia, what's it called, Prism palette. That's actually what I'm wearing on my lids today as well. So that's like more of a fun colourful look, because I don't have too many of those this month because I was working on a lot of more neutral shades. And there you guys is actually it. I don't have any more looks to share with you today. I'm going to be better with taking looks or like pictures of my looks for the next month, although we still have, I mean, we have a little bit more of an interesting color story, I would say, because I rolled it out to 2 more neutral shades and still rolled in a bit more color apart from obviously this one, but it's still a bit deeper. But that is it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and otherwise I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.